Hello Year 10, here's a short video to help you tackle and explain why exam style question. Like with all exam questions, you need to identify the key words. And by key words, I mean the words that you are going to repeatedly write in your answer so that you are linking back to the question explicitly. So let's have a look at this question and identify together the key words. Explain why there were economic problems in the Weimar Republic from 1919 to 1923. Economic problems is the main focus of the question. We are having to explain in this question why the Weimar Republic have problems with money. We also need to identify what time period we need to focus on. And for this question, it clearly tells us it's 1919 to 1923. So before we look at the rest of the question, we might just want to stop and think about our own knowledge for a second about what we already know about economic problems during 1919 to 1923. And we might want to create a little mind map to help us with our knowledge. So economic problems goes in the middle of our mind map because it's the main focus of the question. And then around the outside of our mind map, we need to think about examples that we have learnt that would cause those economic problems. So for example, the making of reparation payments to France as part of the conditions laid out in the Treaty of Versailles could be a nice example to add. If you pause this video now, you'll be able to give yourself some time to think about other examples that you could add to this mind map. Hopefully, you come up with a mind map similar to this one. Again, you might want to pause the video so you can compare this mind map to the one that you've just created. Now we need to refer back to the exam question because you'll notice that we didn't read the whole thing out. So I'm just going to continue to read this last section. You may use the following information in your answer. Reparations, the French occupation of the Ruhr. You must also use information of your own. Now we can see that with this style exam question, we are given two helpful bullet points to guide us with examples that we can use in our answer. And it also tells you that you must include something of your own as well. So for example, you might use the point around your mind map to do with the Weimar government printing more money, or you might refer to hyperinflation, for example. So now we have to think about how to structure our answer to a question like this. Now, typically you would complete either two really detailed paragraphs or three slightly smaller paragraphs for a 12-mark question. So we could go for a structure that looks a little bit like this one. The first paragraph could be on reparations and the failure to pay these resulting in the French invading the Ruhr. And the second paragraph could be on the issues of inflation, printing more money and hyperinflation. Just a reminder, you don't need to write an introduction or a conclusion for a 12-mark question. So the format of this is exactly the same as the 12-mark question for the medicine paper that you practiced recently for your prep exam. So now we have a clear plan in our head of what we need to do. We just need to refresh our memory again of the exam question. You really cannot read them enough. We need to refresh our memory of what the key words are in the question that we've highlighted. Economic problems, 1919 to 1923. So in every paragraph, we start off by describing what the problem is. For example, the Weimar government having to make reparation payments. When we describe this, we need to also make sure we include as much specific detail as we possibly can. So for example, you might add that the reparation payments owed was equivalent to £6.6 billion worth. Once you've finished describing the initial point, in this case making reparation payments, we must then explain why this particular point caused an economic problem. And you can do this by using phrases like this. This demonstrates, this showcases, this reveals, this highlights, this led to. And you're also always going to be thinking about our main explain word, because. So after making your point and describing the issue of reparation payments, you might then go on to say something like, this demonstrates why the Weimar Republic had economic problems because, and then you go on and complete the rest of that sentence. Do you notice how I've used a phrase to help show that I'm explaining? I also use the highlighted words in the question. So why don't you now have a go at answering this question? It should take you about 15 minutes to write a good answer to it. Good luck!